Okay, so there is a story in the Big Book of newcomers being left on benders and talks of voting a member out of the early group due to a belligerent newcomer. That's on page 227, 228 in the Vicious Cycle in the back of the Big Book. The first question is, do we baby and coddle newcomers at times, more so than they did in the early days?
I don't know if we've ever done that very much. You're a good guy. If I got a pigeon, I'm gonna take care of him like he's a baby till he acts like he's not, and then the game changes. But honestly, I've never seen a lot of just. Yeah, I've seen some that would overdo it, and they'd wind up just sort of taking care of them like a child. And I was talking to a woman on the phone about it this morning, and to me, the thing to do is look at the value of how we introduce newcomers. If we look at our newcomer program, that's where we need to deal with that, not with personal levels of decorum and all that kind of thing. But the newcomer committee, how do we help people learn what the program is? And if we've got a good solid base like that where we introduce people, we don't have to worry about what somebody's going to do one-on-one type stuff. That. So I think my focus would be on making doggone sure we've got a good, strong newcomer program. That is.
I think what was important to me when I came in is that I don't know. Well, I guarantee you, nobody baby or coddled me, but and there were times that they were firm because I was a young guy, 20 years old. I was in trouble, but after I started feeling good physically, after about 30 days or so, I felt like maybe I overreacted, and it took some. I guess it took some assertiveness on some other people's part to cut through my alcoholism to get down to the truth and to expose the causes and conditions of my illness. Had they sugarcoated that or not done that, there'd probably be somebody else sitting here tonight. But I think what I appreciate about it, although they hurt my feelings and they made me mad and they cut through the chase, so to speak, they did it with love and respect, and they would wrap it up with the fact that, what we're dealing with is a fatal illness. It's going to take me out of here. And so I'll always appreciate that although maybe thought I was an adult at 20 years old, I was probably far from it. But they still treated me with love and respect, and at the same time helping me learn what was driving, the way that I was living. So I think the other thing for me is, there's as many ways to sponsor people as there are people in Alcoholics Anonymous, and newcomers. I don't think there's any two that are going to be treated the same. You just have to figure out, what works and what doesn't. The other part of this question is, if we've got a belligerent newcomer or a new person, maybe they've been in the group a few months, and they're negative and they're just really, I guess, being sarcastic and cutting people, or just cutting the program and just really having a hard time. The question or the concern is, at what point should that member, can you ask a member to leave a group? Has that ever happened? Because I've heard, I'll just tag on with this, I've heard that, I can be run out of a group, but I can't be run out of Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't think I've ever seen that.
I really have never seen either one. Those are really sponsorship type things. Those are not member to member kind of stuff. When you start getting these, you see cowboy like battles things, that I think we have to just deal with. Well, I'll give you an example that's over in another meeting. One speaking to a group, and a drunk woman came in, and that's kind of exciting, when a drunk woman walks in, and she started singing, and she was lousy. She was not a good singer at all. Well, it was really fascinating to me to watch the group that have that nonverbal language of just going along. Everybody's just frantically looking at each other, and you could hear what they were saying. If somebody called 911, you go, what are you supposed to do now? And the oldest woman in the group, very quietly, got up. The gal was back in the kitchen, went back, put her arm over her shoulder, took her in a little room. That's how you deal with disruptive people. You start dealing with people trying wanting to mud wrestle in the meeting or some junk like that. It's the wrong ballpark for that. Yeah. And so dealing with people you can be rough on somebody and still respect them. And so that's what she did, and she did a great job of it. And the gal lightened up, really livened up the meeting. I to bring her back.
I know Bill talked about we need to be extremely careful of being judge, jury, and executioner of our fellow member or fellow alcoholic, and it almost gets to be comical sometimes that we try to judge another alcoholic.
Oh yeah.
And if our code is truly love and tolerance, and hopefully we can love and tolerate anybody until they can get better. And I'm sure some of those thorns in the side end up being some of our best AA members.
Well, it's a matter of how you go about it. I think it's very, very important, no matter what it is. I mean, I've done it with old members, and I've done it all, but I guarantee you I've done it with courtesy and consideration every time. If somebody's just really vile, profane, and stuff like that, I may get them off in the corner and say, look, man, you're going to be better off if you don't do that, and so's everybody else. The guy sitting there with his mother coming up, we'll see him watch a chip, somebody over there cutting all that kind of junk. Yeah. Someone has to deal with that, but dealing with it appropriately rather than humiliating the guy publicly, that's where I think we have to watch out.
And the milder forms of stuff like that too, without really being crude, rude, and socially unacceptable. There's some people that do tend to always go against the grain, and I think one of the things I've learned, and I know Bill spoke of this and wrote about this as well, is that some of these people are put here to be our teachers. They're going to teach us love, tolerance, and patience. Yeah. The next piece of the question was that the story in the vicious cycle, it does show a profound change in a member for the positive. The question is, have we changed? Can you expand on that?
I think mainly what I was going for on that, in the vicious cycle, it talks about how, he speaks of his only contribution to the literary accomplishment of the big book is, the phrase "God as we understand Him." And that's a pretty profound change that I think changed the group drastically. Especially, just a page before it was talking about, much later I discovered the elders had prayer meetings, hoping to find a way to give me the he-ho. So I think that's a big, that's only 2 pages right there, and it goes from trying to kick a guy out for not believing in the same God to completely changing the foundation of it.
That boy probably kept me in AA with that one simple little thing. I wouldn't have stayed here if it had some kind of mandated religiosity. I wouldn't have stayed. He saved my button.
I know for me, when I read that third step, probably for the first time, when I was being introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous, when I saw God as we understood Him, and I don't think I automatically surrendered and gave in and just was willing to do everything that it takes to recover from alcoholism. But for some reason, it did 2 things for me. It helped me, I think, keep an open mind that somebody's not trying to shove some kind of theology or religion down my throat, and it gave me hope that if there is a power greater than myself in the universe that can help me recover from alcoholism, I had a certain amount of responsibility to connect with that. Yeah. And I like what it referred to in that chapter, The Vicious Cycle, as the theological rebel. I can identify with that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Still actively the theological rebel, not past tense. He still is at the time this was written.
I still identify with it too.